My name is Olga, and this is Primelang.
Today we would like to talk about how we learn new vocabulary, how to deal with new vocabulary when it comes your way. So, Olga, tell us about how you learn new words, how you learn new vocabulary. When you are learning for work, now you're working with Spanish and other many other languages. So tell us about your secrets, your life hacks.
Right, right. So we've decided that we will start with talking about our own experience because I think it's
Yes.
always interesting and important. What I do is actually kind of traditional, and it's maybe embarrassing to talk about it because I'm learning definitely not my first language, and still this is how I do it. I just write word lists and. This works for me. So I try to spend some time every day, ideally, because it, of course, doesn't happen like this in real life, but I try to do it. Learning some new vocabulary. So it's not a lot of time, maybe 15 to 20 minutes every day. And I just go through the words, I read them, and that's how I memorize them. But one tip that I've invented is gathering all my vocabulary into one big working file because I have it on my computer. And once I've learned some words, I think I know them, I delete them from there. And like that, I only have the words that I should still be learning. What about you? How do you
Well, you
learn?
know, I'm very conventional, I guess, just like you. This way of making long, big lists is criticized, and in fact, in one of our videos, we also said that making big lists is not a good idea. But for us, it works. It does work, and for me also, just as for Olga, I write in two columns. I write on the right there's a col or on the left there's a column where there's a regional word, for example, the German word, and on the right, in the right column, there is a translation. I translate into Russian, and so when I'm learning the words, I'm just reading through these words. And for example, I'm reading the Russian words, and I try to remember the its German translation. And if I'm reading the German word, and I'm trying to remember its Russian equivalent. So so yes, it's pretty conventional, and a lot of a lot of schools, especially communicative method people, they are very critical of this approach. But like I said, it does work for me. So and I don't delete these files, the words like you do. I just keep, and I do have actually separate files, which I think is I'm starting to think it's a bad idea, because it's
Hmm.
better to find something in one file, because I often end up having the same words in many different files,
Right,
because I'm
right.
I'm you know I can't remember. But if I've already seen this, for example, I'm reading a book or something, and then I want to know some new word, and I'm looking in this file, but I remember that I've seen this word. I'd seen this word somewhere, but I just can't pull it out of my memory. And but then later I look through my old files, and I'm like, oh, hello, this is word, and then the next file, and again the same word is here. And so yeah, I guess maybe it's a good idea. I
Yeah,
will.
so I used to end up having all these files, and it's really hard to work with them. I think because, like, for one textbook, I have one file. For another textbook, for another project, I have another file. And yes, as you say, lots of words happen there again and again. So um, now I really like what I do. I put them all together, and I can delete whatever I want because I have them in other places, and I keep them there. So, by the way, another method which I found somewhere online, and I think it's a cool one, is coloring the words in your vocabulary. So you can use one color for the words that you know really well, and you don't have to look at them once you go through the vocabulary. Then another color for the words that you kind of know but still would like to revise a little, and a third color for the words that you don't know at all. So I think that can work pretty well.
And yes, and about time, Olga said that she spends 15, 20 minutes every day, or ideally every day. Well, like like they say, I'm not that kind of girl, but in a little different context. Anyway, I am unfortunately a very lazy person, and I don't like it's learning words. unfortunately does get boring at times, and I get bored quickly. But the good news is that I think I have fairly good memory, and for me, reading through the word list twice, three times, usually I can remember them pretty well, pretty quickly. And so for me, a lot of time is not something that I think is required. However, if I feel that something is important and I keep forgetting it and I need to do some extra work, then of course I do it. I can pull myself together and concentrate on the work and spend more time than I would like to. And yes, I can still keep complaining that, oh my God, please no. But I realize that it's something I have to do. So it's
Yes,
a
by the
pretty.
way, I think if you are taking lessons, if it's a well-structured lesson, if the tutor is doing the right thing, then you will learn a lot of the vocabulary during the lesson. So you will just memorize it by doing some exercises, by doing some speaking, repeating these
Right.
phrases over and over. So ideally, half of it will already be done for you without any conscious effort on your side.
Right. And actually, a lot of the textbooks that are very popular, uh, they are made in such a way that all of the material is constantly reviewed. It's just you don't necessarily notice it. You're not conscious of it all the time, but still, it's always there. It's really always there, and
Yeah,
you
so I
end up
think
remembering
it's
it.
important if you are picking, for example, a textbook for your studies, it's important to pay attention to this, the fact that the vocabulary is repeated from unit to unit, that there are revisions after several units. So pay attention to that. I think it's a very important factor.
Right, right. Okay, well, another point that I think is really, really important, and we do it with students, and again, I don't like doing it, but sometimes I have to do it for my own learning experience, is making sentences. For instance, there are, for example, 7 new words, and you need to remember them. So the best way to do it, I think, is to make a sentence about with including this word in it. Or if it's a long sentence, it could be more than one word. And the important thing about these sentences is that it's preferable that they should be about yourself, your own experience, your own life, your own anything about you, because we think it would be easier to remember if you have a personal association with this word, and it will help you to learn it better.
Right, and it may seem time consuming when you hear about it, so you might really be reluctant to try it. But in fact, please don't be, because it will save you a lot of time. If you spend, like, I know I never do that personally, but I know that there are people who spend some serious chunks of time learning their vocabulary, and it will just help you to do it faster, because once you've written a sentence, basically the word is already there. It's already stuck. So you probably remember it.
Mhm.
And you will not have to spend enormous periods of time looking through this list over and over and over. So.
And one very, very important point here is that words don't exist on their own. It's true. When we said about making lists, we meant that it's convenient for us because we can, it's not, German is not my first foreign language that I'm learning. And so I think I'm pretty good at integrating the new learned
Mhm, mhm.
vocabulary into texts, but it could be difficult for others. If you are starting to learn first foreign language, learning a list might not work, because you will, just knowing the word is one thing, but actually being able to put it into the text inside a sentence is quite another, and to recognize this word in a sentence when you're reading it. And so please remember that words only exist in a context, in some situation. It never exists by itself.
Yes, so I, for example, always refer my students to the context when I am telling them what to do with the vocabulary. I always ask them, don't just look at your notebook or whatever you have there. get back to your textbook, if it was from the textbook, from the exercises, from a text, or from a video, whatever it was. If you've written this word from some context, get back to this context, and after looking at the translation and trying to memorize it, try to read it or hear it once again in the context and recognize it. So try to remember what it meant. It will definitely help you memorize it for longer, and to actually be able to use it yourself afterwards.
Yeah. So, is there anything else we can add about how we are learning languages? Olga, do you have any more extra tricks or something that you
No,
think
I
should?
think so. In my opinion, learning the vocabulary is one of those tasks which is pretty straightforward, and I'm not, again, so I'm kind of traditional in many things. I'm not a big fan of methods where you invent stories with these words or pictures with this word, like something really big where you have to use all these words, different mnemonic devices. So in this case, I really think it takes more time than it's worth. So I'm not a fan of that. And maybe before we finish, we should also talk about using flashcards very quickly. So
Right.
what can you say about that?
Right. Flashcards is a very, very popular method of learning anything, well, words especially. There's a whole lot of range of different method of working with cards. For the cards, okay, you can make them small pieces of paper on which, like for instance, on one side of this paper, you write the word that you're learning, and then on the flip side, you write either the translation or you draw a picture. If it's some object, you can draw this object, especially if it's something for children, but not necessarily. And then you kind of mix these cards together, and then you pull out one, look at the word, and try to remember what this word means. If you are looking at the translation, then try to translate. For example, if you are translating from English into French, for example. And so you're pulling up one card, you see the English side, and try to remember the French translation of this word. But then if you're confident with this word, if you remember, just put it aside and concentrate on the other words. And so keep mixing like this. But and this could be quite time consuming, and yet it could be a lot of fun, because if you have children and if they are learning something, you could do something like this together, and you can learn with them, and you can invent all sorts of games with these cards. And so that could be a lot of fun. You can make banners, you can make all sorts of different creative projects. And so if you are a creative person, that's something that's definitely going to work for you.
Yes, so there are lots and lots of ways you can play with these cards. And yeah, as Yana said, if you like creative stuff, if you like stationery, if you like drawing, then that should be definitely something that you do. Also, nowadays there exists a huge number of different apps with flashcards that you can use on your phone or on your device. And I think we are not going to get into much detail here because everybody talks about it, and you can find lots of information about this everywhere. So we just don't want to repeat what has already been said great number of times. But in our opinion, this is definitely a very useful tool. Again, it saves time in the end, even though you have to type all these words in or whatever you do, copy them somehow, but so create these flashcards. In the end, it will definitely be much easier learning them. It will be much more fun. So we definitely recommend you trying one of these apps.
Right. And the one thing I would like to say also is that, again, I said it already, I've said it today already, but I want to say it again, that words exist in a context. They exist in combination with other words. They don't exist by themselves, because flashcards or lists that we are using, Olga and I are using, these are all basically lists. And a flashcard is also just a form of listing, word listing. But also a good idea for natural speech is a very good idea to learn chunks of words, maybe some collocations. I don't know. For example, go to bed. That's a collocation, you know. And so if you learn go and bed separately, you might not necessarily be able to quickly put these words together. But this example maybe wasn't a very good one, because it's too simple. But to some people it might not
Yeah,
be.
so it illustrates your point. I think it's a why not? It's a nice example. So yes, learn phrases, learn set phrases, expressions rather than separate words. Definitely, that's for sure.
Well, I think this is pretty much it. We've covered most of the bases. We'd love to hear your questions. Maybe you've got some comments for us. Tell us how you learn new words. Maybe you got some ideas, secrets. I could definitely use some new stuff. You know, new tricks. I'll be interested to try something. And you know, subscribe to our channels. Give us the thumbs up. Watch our videos, and we'll see you next time.
Yes, bye.
Bye bye.